On today's edition of India Revival Mission, we're going to be throwing light on the real estate sector. And who better than Mr. Niranjan Hiranandani to chat about exactly what's happening with the revival within the real estate space. Mr. Hiranandani, good morning. Thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking with us. Hope all's well.
Good morning. All is well. The last couple of days and weeks have been extremely positive for the real estate business.
Indeed it is. And that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, because channel checks are suggesting that there is a great amount of recovery that we've seen in realty sales. A part of it also, I guess, has to do with home loan rates being at an all-time low. But tell me, do you feel that this recovery that one is seeing is sustainable, Mr. Hiranandani?
My answer is yes, for a couple of reasons. One, that people are less and less afraid of the coronavirus COVID-19, partly because I think the mortality rate has come down. We are seeing less and less numbers getting affected. People are moving out. People are even going on holidays. All the positivism has definitely come. A positive mentality is taking place. Also, the fact that governments are taking definitely a proactive view in terms of intervention into real estate. The Maharashtra government has brought down stamp duty rates by 60%, and that's unprecedented. We are now at just cent stamp duty rates, which many of the people never thought would ever happen. So I think that's a kind of a trigger. But also the fact that lots of properties which were unsold, ready to move in, and no GST because they are already got occupation certificates and buildings are ready. I think that has also helped. And the last but not least, vaccine coming in probably in a short period of time. People are looking at it proactively. Can I add one more thing? The work from home has also helped.
Absolutely.
People have suddenly realized that home is important and larger homes are required. If two people are working from home and child is there to study from home, you have three people wanting to use three different screens in the house, which needs more space and quality, of course.
Indeed. Also, just to take that point forward, Mr. Hiranandani, how much of a role you think is low interest rates at this juncture also playing? And given that they're here to stay, at least that is what we understand. Do you expect a further push in realty sales then, especially in the residential category?
So yes, the answer is yes. I've never seen interest rates so low in 15 years. So that's a proactive, positive news that we are having. 6.75 now, which is unbelievable, looking at the fact that inflation itself is 5.5%. Obviously, in real terms, the interest is very, very low, and you're hardly paying any interest for deferment of your loans or installments. Hence, and you're getting long-term loans. So people are taking 15, 20-year loans. And that has really helped in the marketplace. And also the fact that people do believe that even if there is a rationalization of interest rates further in the future, doesn't look likely immediately, but it's possible over a period of time, that benefit would also come to them under the new regulations by the Reserve Bank of India. So all in one, low rates of interest, positive attitude in the marketplace, more assurity of jobs who have already there in the jobs, work from home, stamp duty rates, all have combined in order to turn the market for real estate.
So, as I try to understand from what you tell me, this doesn't seem like this is just pent-up demand. This is actually green shoots which are visible now in the entire sector, which has been in a slump for many years now.
Yes, so pent-up demand is one part of it. But what I do see is that a large number of people who wanted to buy a two-bedroom house are now looking at three-bedroom. People who wanted a one-bedroom house are looking for a two-bedroom. So that means that those people who were even willing to buy earlier are now looking for a larger size house. And also the fact that quality has made a perceptible difference. Previously, people would say, let's buy a low-cost house. Let's have the cheapest possible home that we can possibly get so that we have a lower EMI. Now people are starting to value the quality of home. So they don't mind a branded house with more availability of, let's say, a clubhouse, swimming pool, all the other facilities which townships are there to offer. And they're willing to pay a little higher price than what would otherwise have been done for a single house stuff. So I think that is another thing which I believe has made a difference. There is more news to come very soon, probably by a week or so. The Maharashtra government has now taken it to the cabinet to decide that the charges by the local authorities, namely the municipal corporations and the government, would charge lower amounts for the purposes of development charges and other taxes, as well as for the additional FSI. The amounts would be lower and the payments would be back-ended. So I think that news is expected. So the kind of momentum in terms of triggering will continue. But all in all, to answer your question, I think there is a long-term demand for real estate, which had been hidden. And because of the recession for the last 2.5 years, or longer since demonetization, I think industry was looking at bad times. Hopefully, this is going to change.
I hope so too. But tell me, which segments are seeing a pickup? As you are saying right now, it clearly seems that people are wanting to upgrade their homes. Is the demand coming in the affordable category, or would you say luxury and premium segments as well are seeing an uptick?
Both sense. Those who cannot go for more than affordable are doing the affordable segment. Those who are taking the other segment, those who have the money are wanting to upgrade and put in more percentage of the money they had from other assets and shift it to homes. So you get both the categories. And affordable housing has a different benefit. Let me point out. Under the PMAY scheme, if you're within the 45 lakhs amount, your stamp duty in Maharashtra is only 1,000 rupees, not even 1%, not even 2%. And you have 1,000 rupees. And GST is only 1% for under construction properties in the PMI. You get 90% loan under PMAY, and you get a 3% interest subvention for 15 years. That means if you're paying 7% interest, you are actually going to pay 7 minus 3, which is 4%, which means that in reality, there is a subsidy if you look at the inflation rate. So in reality, somebody is paying for it, the interest for your deferred payment loan, home loan, more than what you would have otherwise paid by paying down payment. So in the affordable housing segment also, there is a demand. And in the premium segment also, there is a demand. So I'm seeing both ends of the thing. But where the builder is not trusted, or where there is no faith or there is no brand, people are now pick and choosing those type of buildings, unless, of course, they are ready properties.
Sure. But tell me, what happens to commercial real estate in this, post-COVID world then? Since you as well are saying most are working out of home, where does that leave commercial real estate demand?
That's a good question, and you're trying to trap me. But anyway, I have my own answers. They are slightly different than what the market is, but I'll share it with you. The point is very simple. Yes, the work from home has definitely stymied the marketplace, and there is definitely a temporary reduction in demand. And this is going to continue to stay forever, because there will always be a small percentage of people who will now start working from home. However, my feeling, and this feeling is also supported by so many foreign investors, you cannot imagine. I've got half a dozen foreign investors talking to me, asking me that if I'm building more commercial property, they would like to co-invest with me. Now, this indicates very clearly that they are supporting my view that the commercial real estate over a period of time is definitely going to grow. And my statement to the Prime Minister in ASSOCHAM also was the same. we look at 2021 December as a positive 10% GDP growth with all the investment factors coming into the country, with huge investments going into infrastructure, all the other benefits coming out. End of 2021, you're going to see a positive GDP growth of 10%. If that happens, commercial demand will go up irrespective of the work from home, because the growth of commercial real estate is linked with GDP growth and demand from overseas investors like IT and other factors. So it is my belief, and many other people, developers of A-grade properties and investors from overseas, who do believe that over a period of time, India commercial real estate will grow. But of course, there are a few people, like you hinted just now, where they believe that no, because of the work from home, commercial real estate will not work. But I differ from that view completely.
Okay. You earlier talked about developers. Now, if one were to look at the problems within the real estate sector in the last 2.5, 3 years, was that the sector was choked when it comes to liquidity. Has liquidity now been flowing into the sector? Have those cash-strapped developers and builders managed to get the approvals from the banks and NBFCs?
Yeah, that is a good question. And let me try to answer to the best of my ability. I do find that many developers have been assisted at both ends. Namely, those who had gone to NPA, NCLT have been able to access Swami funds for last mile funding. And those projects are also on the kickstart to have again. However, there are many developers still remaining who have not been able to get the funding. And we have represented through NAREDCO to the finance minister, through the Reserve Bank governor, that the amount of fund under Swami is limited to 25,000 crores, and that's not enough for the economy. We need at least 1,25,000 crores. So we need an expansion of these type of funds. Of course, we don't need more money from the government. I have enough banks and financial institutions who are ready to set up funds analogous to the Swami fund in order to come into the market. We've spoken to HDFC, ICICI, and various other institutions, and they are not averse to putting it up at all. So I think there is a possibility of more funds coming up for last mile funding on that segment. On the segment which is doing well, the funding is now available, and banks and financial institutions are lending. NBFCs still haven't moved into a big way into real estate back again. But over a period of time, as their finance also stabilize and improve, I think that lending also will come and start again, as was there earlier.
Sure. Let's talk about peripheries as well. Steel, cement prices, especially steel, has seen a massive escalation from the March levels. Does this also mean that there is going to be an obvious increase in inflation and thereby some pressure on the margins as well for the real estate sector?
Oh, absolutely correct. I'm personally afraid about that. And I think Mr. Gadkari also mentioned it a couple of days back when he realized that steel and cement prices are going up beyond reasonability. And I think that is wrong. While the demand has gone up, both of cement and steel, because the economy is again picking up, both in terms of infrastructure and housing, I do think that the prices have disproportionately higher and need to be rationalized also. I do hope that it'll be done by increase in production capacity so that the prices become reasonable rather than intervention by government. I don't think it would be a good thing to do intervention by government, as has been suggested by many. More action in terms of increasing in supply, which will mean productivity increasing, efficiency increasing, delivery existing, demand increasing, and of course, moving the economy faster, which is what I'm predicting.
Okay, let's talk about retail as a segment now. Has retail demand picked up in terms of footfalls that one is seeing? I know for sure that malls, ever since they opened up, one is seeing a massive pickup in footfalls. But what's been your observation on ground? Is it still very city-specific as opposed to, a broad-based category?
Some malls have definitely picked up. I've been talking to Phoenix, and they've said that many of their malls have had very good pickup in the sense that they've got more pickup by less footfalls, which means people are not going so much to walk in the park, walk in the malls, but actually walk to get something or purchase something specific. So though the footfalls in the malls have definitely come down, the buying has increased. But we do still see a problem in terms of retail across the board. So if you see across the country, retail is still struggling a lot. Restaurants are still struggling a lot. And I think they do need support beyond normalcy. And I think something should be done for them, both in terms of hotels, restaurants, hospitality, aviation. All these sectors are suffering very, very, very badly. And I think though there is green shoots available where things have come back, but I don't think it's enough or complete. So we will still have to wait for some time before the entire opening up in the retail segment really takes place. But it's beginning.
So what are the key government measures that, must be taken to ensure that real estate doesn't go back into the prolonged, black hole that it has been in for the last 3 years?
I think over a period of years, the local authorities, state governments, and the central government thought this was a great milking cow. Unfortunately, they started slaughtering the cow. Because they started taxing so high and brought in so much regulation and taxes, because everybody felt that, they have got super profits and so. So everyone, every authority, every conceivable authority has overtaxed real estate. Now it's moved the other end of the pendulum. It's probably the most overtaxed industry. I think it's even more overtaxed than liquor. Or cigarettes. And by and large, that indicated that you don't get affordable housing. So for example, if you take the premiums of Mumbai, the prices they are, if you buy the premium for the additional FSI, you can't make a single flat less than 10,000 rupees a square foot saleable value. Now, if that is the case of the minimum price at which prices will go in terms of Mumbai city, obviously that's a wrong which has happened, because it means that the government and taxes are very too high to do it. So please don't slaughter this cow. Please milk the cow instead of slaughtering it, and we will give a lot of milk. But that is why Maharashtra government's move should be now followed by all the other central government and the other states also, in order to rationalize the rates as well as the stamp duty and the other taxes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the other thing that I want to talk about. Affordability, and especially in a city like Mumbai. I know you explained the rationale and the math behind why real estate continues to be, so high priced in cities like Mumbai. But what is, the feeler that you're getting from other parts of the country? Has the COVID pandemic brought about some rationalization in prices in other states at least?
Oh, yes. We do find the affordable housing segment in terms of the PMAY scheme and other places, the prices are definitely more affordable. And you are seeing it across the board, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 towns. So this has definitely happened and is continuing to happen. And it's a wonderful thing which is there. The target of the Prime Minister of 1.1 crore houses is being completed ahead of time. Of course, not into areas like Mumbai and Delhi and tier 1 cities where land is too expensive, and state governments and local authorities needed to bring in cheaper land or acquired land, which would actually use for these schemes. So except for these metros and town centers and these areas where affordable housing is not being constructed, large amount of construction, tier 2, tier 3, and periphery of many of the cities is taking place. So that's a positive story that we have in terms of affordable housing. Another part of the story is infrastructure. You can't just make houses and not make, you can't make houses and not make infrastructure. So the importance is also, what we need to see is infrastructure. Like in Mumbai, we have the metro, the Cross Harbour Bridge, the coastal road, the Navi Mumbai airport. All these factors have become very important in all the cities. And, in cities like Delhi, we need to sort out the issue of pollution. I mean, there is no reason why we can't solve that problem, and unnecessarily we have made it political. I think it should be a non-political issue and really sort out that problem.
Yeah, it's quite horrid, the kind of air quality that Delhiites are breathing on a daily basis. And that's the other thing, Mr. Hiranandani, because I bet you're seeing also migration out of big cities onto the outskirts of cities. I mean, why does someone have to be in a congested Mumbai when they can do the same work with just Wi-Fi and internet and connectivity in a larger house on the outskirts of Mumbai?
Well, that's happening. So if there are many people from the downtown cities are moving to down suburbs, are moving to extended suburbs, are moving to Thane, moving to Panvel, moving to other peripheral areas of the city centers. People from Delhi are moving to Gurgaon, Noida, Greater Noida. All that is definitely happening. And also in Pune, in Bangalore, you're seeing it all the places. But two riders again, transport and communication. Very important, especially after the COVID situation. If you don't have schools, you don't have hospitals, you don't have proper environment, proper commute facilities, that people are going to watch like a hawk. So when people are making projects and then no transport, no communication is taking place, you're going to have problem, because then people are not going to stay. So new infrastructure around cities, like we have talked about 100 metro cities, must come up faster. And I think that becomes very critical factor in people moving into houses in outlying areas is going to become much more than it happened today. So quality of houses and moving, as you said, into outside areas.
Yeah. So in the post-pandemic world, Mr. Hiranandani, where do you see real estate as a sector in, say, the next 2 years, when hopefully all of us would be vaccinated and things would settle down?
I think the Prime Minister is very clear. He wants to create housing for all. And this means rural and urban areas both. Rural is not a problem because land is not an issue. It's more about construction cost, which can be, mitigated. In the urban areas, also in many of the metropolitan number 2, number tier 3 cities, there's no problem because there is availability of land. But in metros, especially in places like Mumbai and Delhi and thereabouts, there is a big challenge. And where we have to worry about both these factors, namely to get land availability and also commute to these locations, and then, of course, the consequences of health and environment. If you can put this combination together, one thing, most of the countries in the world have been able to solve the problem. Roti, kapda, makan, we talk about. The focus on makan has been now there. So I think a couple of years we'll be able to do. But many times the policies are very good, but the implementation has been poor. Like, for instance, in the slum scheme in Mumbai, we have a very bad implementation, lot of political intervention at the grassroots level in terms of the slums people themselves. And there's a lot of problem there. So we are not able to see that part. There's one more thing which I wanted to mention before we miss out, is the fact that the policy on rental housing is there on the website of the ministry. And it's likely to be there out quickly. And I'm sure that the finance minister will also give necessary benefit in terms of intervention in the budget in order to see that this grows. The most richest country in the world, the United States, at least 50% of the population live from birth to death in rental houses. So I think we need to get this off the ground. And very soon you will have, once the policy in place, we will try to see that more rental housing is also available so that people don't have to worry necessarily to buy a house, but would be able to get, if not an affordable house, an affordable rental house.
Okay. On that note, Mr. Hiranandani, we'll wrap it up in this edition of India Revival Mission. As always, great speaking with you and getting all the insights about realty.
My pleasure to talk to you always.